Hello, everybody, and greetings from Los Angeles. This is going to be a little bit awkward. I'm not used to broadcasting to an invisible audience. I've done some distance teaching before, but it's usually over Skype or GoToMeeting or some similar program. But just wanted to briefly say hello. And even though I probably don't foresee interacting with you a whole lot in person, to sort of tell you a little bit about myself and talk you through the class. I am a playwright. My work mostly has an experimental bent, and I wind up in television almost by accident through my friendship with Teresa Rebeck, who hired me for Smash. And then after Smash, I became a writer on Mad Men, which brought me to Los Angeles, where I'm out here now making a living, you could say, as a television and film writer while I'm still writing plays. So I'm excited to get into talking about your projects with you. Just a few little caveats, although I'm not going to veer at all from the official modules as they're set up. I just wanted to tell you I have kind of a different pedagogy, a different attitude towards those. Being able to talk about your work and to pitch your work, create outlines, and so forth are necessary parts of being a writer. But that said, the process of pitching and outlining is actually pretty particular to television and film. So those are skills that you need to have, and they're very important. For playwriting, I'm a little bit more flexible. Playwriting, it's more likely that you've got to talk about your work in the form of statements of intent for grant applications or letters of intent when you contact theaters, and generally being able to talk about your work. But whereas work for television and film emphasizes story and plot, work for theater tends to emphasize theme. Plot, character, and theme are all important in all three, unless you're doing a totally non-narrative piece of theater, which I think is totally acceptable and interesting. There are plenty of good, interesting pieces of theater without plot or characters to speak of. I give you a little bit more flexibility. My feeling is as long as you get to the end, as the end of your first draft and something that you can then revise, you've got then, it doesn't really matter how you get there. So in terms of the next 3 weeks, you've got, I'm still going to comment on your pitches, the character and setting function and the character stew and the character bios. If you are committed to doing that, if you find those useful for your process, and you're engaged and want to do those, I encourage you to do so, and I'll take a look at them. I generally do not use those myself. I will answer questions about them. I will give some feedback, but again, it's kind of terra incognita here. It's not, an area that I usually work in, as opposed to being able to, I have very specific thoughts about outlines and scripts, and I've, given notes on everything I've worked on, and I'm pretty knowledgeable about that. So, if, as we go through module 3, that up until the end of this week, I believe on the 11th, if you would like to do something that's a little bit different from a character bio. So, for example, if you're writing a play and you want to talk about place, and you want to just sort of give a tour of a particular place that you find interesting, or talk about your research or your point of inspiration, or really anything else that helps you come up with the building blocks for your script, I encourage you to do so. The same thing with the linear diagrams. I don't diagram my scripts ever. If you want to use those and you find those useful, again, go for it. I encourage you to do so. But if you would like to do something else, as long as you're doing something, and I know that sounds a little bit vague, but I'm happy to make suggestions if you want to comment. Please feel free to contact me over email or through the Blackboard site to ask me about some examples of exercises that you can do. So, one example might be you go to the place that a physical place that inspires the play that you want to write, and you eavesdrop on people and you write down dialogue, and that's something that you hand in. Or that you do a little bit of a flaneur exercise. You do a walking tour of the area that you're in, and just kind of come up with a reverie. Or you do something that's along the lines of a book report. You do some research into some text that's providing inspiration for you, and then report back on that. Any number of those things. Or if you're if you're writing a play and it's based on language and not plot, you can do it that way. So over modules 3 and 4, really until we get to the end of module 4, when you have I'd say the scene break on the which is due on September 22nd, and the scene outline, which is due on September 25th. When you get to those, I think we should stick to the plan because ultimately outlining and the script pages are that's sort of what counts. You need to be able to come up with those things. But everything else up until then, up until the A and B story structure on September 18th, I encourage you to do your own thing. Do the building blocks that you think are part of your process. And if you're at a loss and you don't know what those building blocks are, and you're up against a wall with the ones on the list, contact me and I can give you some feedback. But otherwise, if you want to stick with the assigned plan, I think that's totally fine. I don't think, just to get back to repeat my main point, there is no right or wrong way to write a play or a screenplay or a TV show. The only wrong way is not to write it. Ultimately, there are conventions of film and television that you will be expected to fulfill, but that we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. How you get there, is not important. So that's that in terms of how the class is going to go. Everything else in terms of feedback is going to go back to normal. Like I said, my schedule is a little bit erratic. I am a working TV and film writer, so I will get the feedback to you in a timely fashion as best I can. If you need to get in touch with me urgently, or if you feel like you need a certain bit of input that you're not getting in what you think of as a timely fashion, please email me at jasongrode@gmail.com. The email that I sent out on the announcement to the class. I actually find the Blackboard. I've had Blackboard at other teaching institutions. I've hardly used it. I actually find it to be kind of confusing and unnecessarily convoluted. There's stuff buried in places that I have trouble finding. So if you put something up and you're not getting an answer from me, it may just be that I don't even know that it's there, honestly. So feel free to email me. Try not to abuse it. I probably won't be able to respond to every single email every single day. Other than that, that is about it. If anybody has any questions, just please let me know. And I'm excited about all of your work. I've read the ideas, the concepts, and I'm beginning to listen to your pitches now. I'm looking forward to getting into it. Okay, so thanks everybody. And now I'm going to turn off screen.